A movie that exposes the child sex trafficking ring. And yet people have a problem with that?
Hear that? That's the sound of freedom.
Sound of Freedom is based on the true story of Tim Ballard as he rescues children from the child sex trafficking ring. And yeah, I want to get into a few things first. Like I said in my intro, that a lot of news outlets and media sites and Hollywood elitists seem to have a major problem with this movie. And that's a problem in and of itself. So let me just reiterate this for you, in case it hasn't gone through your head. People have a problem with a movie exposing a child sex trafficking ring. Not promoting it, but exposing it. Let that sink in. And that is the major problem with Hollywood nowadays, is that, and especially since I've even seen things like the White House no longer considers child sex trafficking, or stopping that at least, to be a priority. And that's fucking disgusting. And I've even seen outlets saying, criticizing pedophilia is harmful to the LGBT community. What? That just shows that that community is not... They don't want to just be represented. They are pedophiles. And that's the entire thing with Hollywood, is that there's a lot of Hollywood that are major pedophiles. That's why so many people want the Epstein, is that how you say it? Client list to be exposed, but people see that as a bad thing. That's the reason why so many times nowadays you see, if you look at most hated NFL players, you see Aaron Rodgers on there, not because he's an asshole. I mean, he has thrown his teammates under the bus every now and then, but that's not really the point. Point is that recently he wanted the Jeffrey Epstein client list to be, he called them out saying that should be revealed. And then some other celebrities like Jimmy Kimmel, for example, decided to trash him for that. And you know why that is? It's because he's probably on the list. There are a lot of Hollywood elitists that have been rumored and heavily speculated to be on that list. Jimmy Kimmel is one of them, and another one being Jim Carrey. But that's not even the big problem. And the problem is that they think this movie is harmful because it's exposing what they are. I cannot believe the world we live in now, where a movie exposing pedophilia and sex trafficking, especially child trafficking, is being trashed by sites, not for being a bad movie, because honestly, you know what the funny thing is Rotten Tomatoes did this verified audience bullshit. They did it for Disney because they want to hide the fact that Disney's movies are getting trashed by audiences. Like with Little Mermaid, the verified audience score was 94%, but the all-audience score is 56. And they wanted to hide the fact that people didn't like that goddamn movie. But it backfired and blew up in their face with this movie because the all-audience score for this one is 98%, which is pretty damn good. The verified audience, 100%. And that makes me fucking laugh. Because it shows that people want these types of movies, the movies that don't shove a political message in your face. Because child sex trafficking and stopping that should not be a political debate. It's not political. It really isn't. So, this is a message that needed to be sent to Hollywood, apparently. And apparently this movie was finished 6 years ago. I think I saw somewhere that it was completed in 2017, but no distributor wanted to make this movie, and that tells you all you need to know about Hollywood distributors. Until Angel Studios, which is a faith-based company, decided to release it this year. And honestly, and again, the even funnier thing is that this movie is making bank at the box office. I'm guessing this movie didn't have a very big budget. I'm guessing it probably had a budget below $20 million. That's my estimate. And this movie, And even though it made third place over the weekend, during the weekdays, both last week and this week, because it was released last Wednesday, on a Wednesday, July 4th, it beat out both Indiana Jones, and once again, for this week, has taken over Indiana Jones and Insidious: The Red Door. And it's already made over $45 million. The Wednesday numbers haven't come in yet, but it's already made over $45 million. So I'm estimating this might break $100 million. Though this didn't get an international release, for, obvious reasons. Because this is a strictly American movie. There's a reason why it was released on July 4th. That's not a coincidence. And yeah, I know I haven't been talking about the movie, but honestly, there's not a ton to actually talk about with this movie because it's a very straightforward movie. The technicalities, everything technical about this movie is good. I like the aesthetic it goes for. It's a really grounded and gritty story. I like the acting. Jim Caviezel, is that how you say his name? He's really good as Tim Ballard, and all the other acting is pretty good. I like the directing. So it's just a really straightforward, really good movie. And again, I don't just give good or bad scores depending on the politics. They usually, especially when it came to movies like Little Mermaid, they didn't help because they were shoved in your face. Politics aren't shoved in your face with this movie because, again, this shouldn't be a political debate. And the fact that it is kind of disgusting. Oh, I just need a second. And like I said, so many sites, including CNN and Rolling Stones, have been bitching and moaning about this movie because, again, they are the people that support child traffickers. They do. There's no other way to spin it. Because let me ask you this. If they don't support child trafficking, why would they be bitching and moaning about this movie? And again, they're not complaining about the movie for it being bad. It's the same thing that happened with Nefarious. They're complaining about it because it exists. I don't think they actually watched the movie, and especially Rolling Stones, because was it last year when that What Is a Woman documentary came out from Matt Walsh? Rolling Stones made an entire article about how it was transphobic and all this other crap, and it was revealed that they never watched a single minute of the documentary. So that tells me that the Rolling Stones didn't watch this movie, but they're still going to bitch and moan. And again, one thing I will say is that the first negative review I saw of this movie was actually just saying, it's like, okay, it's a good idea, but it just wasn't, the guy just didn't like the movie. And that's fine. If you didn't like the movie because you just didn't like it, whatever, that's fine. But then all of the other negative reviews I've seen were all political. They were all bitching and moaning about not about the movie being bad, but the fact that the movie exists, that it exposed what it did. Because all the people on the left, they want to support child trafficking, and it's fucking disgusting. And this movie, and not only that, but this movie is taking a beat, this movie is damaging other movies' box office potential. I saw a post where it was a Mission Impossible 7 screening. It had 4 people, and then that same theater, well, not the same theater screening, but a different booth in that theater had this movie playing 2 hours beforehand, and there was 5 seats unattended. It was virtually sold out. This movie is chomping into other movies' box office potential, and other studios don't like that. And I suppose I should mention the controversies around AMC theaters. Now, the CEO of AMC came out and claimed he didn't know what he was talking about. And then Angel Studios, the people who produced this movie, did actually come to the defense of AMC theaters. So, and what was happening was various shady bullshit was happening in theaters conveniently during when this movie was playing, and they even refunded the money so this movie wouldn't count towards this movie's box office. And I have and considering what's been going on. I don't think it's AMC theaters, actually. I think it's the theaters themselves that are like, they're probably in, like, liberal-run cities that are intentionally driving people out of the theater so that this movie doesn't make money. Because it's been happening all over the place. It wasn't just 1 or 2 times. It's been happening all over the place. And there have been so many reports about it, so there's too many for it to have been a coincidence. People are trying to shut this movie down because they are the most disgusting people in the world. They are the people that don't want this movie to be released, not because they want to protect children and they think this movie will get even more people hurt, because that doesn't even make sense, but because they don't want this movie exposing the sex trafficking ring, because they want it to keep going on. Which, again, is fucking despicable. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. People trying to destroy this movie and take it down is fucking despicable, because it shows people's true colors. It really does. So, again, I know I didn't talk about much about this movie, because, again, there wasn't a ton to talk about, because it's just a straightforward, really good movie. But I feel like I just needed this movie was an excuse to rant about this, and I feel better having ranted about it. So that's all I got. Sound of Freedom gets an A+, and now I'm gonna go watch Nefarious. I need more anti-woke movies before I watch Indiana Jones. So I'll see y'all then.